The biggest fear we see when people decide to travel with their own bike for their cycling holiday is that it arrives broken. In this video, we're going to take a look at one of the most popular bike cases that we see with our guests who have decided to bring their own bike on tour, and talk about some of the things you can do to help stop your bike being destroyed in travel. So the most popular case that we see is the Skicon or Skycon or Skishcon, however you want to say it. This is the #1 case that we see for people choosing to travel with their bike. So one of the first things you'll notice at this case is actually really floppy. So the material is quite thick and hopefully protects your bike from lots of scratches and things, but it's nice and floppy. This means it's great for storage. So if you're arriving and you're staying in a small hotel room, you're going to be able to squish this down, maybe put it under the bed. And that's also quite good to store at home so you're not cluttering up your living space. You'll also see that there are reinforced areas on key parts. So this protects the hubs of the wheels, and this little piece here protects the derailleur. We'll talk more about that later. There's also classy little features like a nice tag to put your flight ticket on to keep that nice and in the right place. And then this is a lovely little one. You can put, easily accessible treats or snacks or whatever you need in here. One of the most important things is how movable this case is. And it does come into its own when you've got your bike inside and it's feeling more rigid. The wheels are just super, super easy to move around. So we had a really good comparison. So Lee and I went to Sicily last year, and I had my bike packed in a really ancient bike box Allen, which some of you might be familiar with. It's super rigid, the wheels go in one direction, and it's really clunky to move around. And Lee, of course, had the latest top-of-the-range Skicon, Skycon bike case. We swapped cases in the airport, of course, and I was able to sort of float along, just gently pushing the bike, and it really was a pleasure to travel with. Do a little woo! So opening it up, we're going to see some of the features inside that are designed to keep the bike safe. Okay. So one of the cool things here is that there's lovely dedicated space to put each of your wheels. One for the front and one for the rear. They're nice and padded. We've seen the reinforcement on the other side. And what's really important is this, of course, protects the wheels from damaging the frame. So this is a really cool feature. And it's just so nice and tidy. Like, this is a really clean way to pack your bike. So when we're talking about the wheels, one of the really cool things about this case is you don't have to take the disc brakes off. All you need to pack the bike is literally an Allen key to take off the front and the rear wheel. So looking inside, there's actually a rigid frame inside the case. We put the front fork goes on the higher piece over here, and the back triangle sits on here. So this holds the bike really rigidly. It doesn't wobble around, and there's also these straps that you use to kind of lock the frame into place. So let's talk about the rear neck decision. So this is a point of debate between me and my husband Lee. I actually always take the derailleur off, even though the how-to video says you really don't need to worry. So if you look at your bike in this box, the derailleur sits here. And what can happen is a nice big clunk in the wrong place can actually damage your rear neck holder and can give you a lot of trouble if you don't have a spare. So it's a lot more work. It's a bit tricky to take off and even more tricky to put back on in the right place. But I think honestly it's just worth it for that peace of mind to not have a damaged rear neck when you arrive at the other end. So one of the coolest things that I love about this bike box is that you do not need to remove the saddle, the seat post, the handlebars, and that is just a game changer for traveling with your bike. So I remember back in the day you'd have to spend like hours disassembling your bike, hours the other end putting it back together, and it would never feel quite the same way again, let's be honest. But with this bike box you can just literally place your frame into the case and it works perfectly. I'm also quite lucky, I've got very little legs, so I don't need to even move my saddle height. So you will find if you've got long legs, you might have to drop the saddle a bit, but for me that is not a problem. So a tricky thing we found with people traveling with integrated handlebars is that it's really difficult in another case to pack it. So you can't remove it, you can't tuck it under the frame like we used to. So with this case it's really cool because the bike just literally sits like this, and there's lots of protectors that you can go onto your shifters and onto the bars to keep them safe in the case. So again, that's a game changer about this setup, is that it's just super easy, even for a beautiful integrated bike like this one. So one of the little luxury touches about this bag, and what makes it worth the €600 price tag, retail €1,000, is it comes with really cool little accessories like this. So this is a gear bag. which you can put in your helmet and your shoes, although if you watch my other video I would actually keep them with you in your hand luggage just in case the bike is delayed. And you'll also see in here there's lots of padding that goes on the tubes, on your shifters, and on the handlebar to keep the bike extra safe in travel. So maybe one of the downsides of this case is that of course it is not rigid, so it is a little bit vulnerable to hard impacts, which hopefully don't travel, but if you're lucky enough to experience that, your bike could have some little knocks and bruises. What you'll also see is this front end is really wide. This is for your handlebars. So depending how big your bike is, you might actually struggle with the width of the handlebars if you've got a super wide setup. For me, it's not a problem. My handlebars are tiny, but I have seen some larger bikes sort of strain into this case, so it's something to be aware of. But overall, the material is super robust. You'll see it's nice and padded, and it really is a pleasure to travel with. You feel like you're cocooning your bike in a lovely little parcel for a nice, safe journey, and you can kind of wave it off down the luggage rail with like a little bit of confidence that it's going to be okay. But of course it's never guaranteed, so good luck if you travel with your own bike. So this is our most popular travel bike case that we see for people showing up on a cycling holiday here or on one of our tours. Of course there are other options on the market, but I think this one really does kind of cover everything that you're looking for as a cyclist looking after your bike on a trip. So if you don't want the hassle of travelling with your own bike and the nerves and the fear of it showing up damaged, then of course you can rent, and we offer bike rental in Girona, Malaga, and also on all of our bike tours over the world. So that's it this time. If you'd like to see more tips about travelling in Girona, Spain, abroad, then please do hit that subscribe button.